Is 12 high noon. You know what that means? The roundtable discussion. The roundtable on what? And look at the panel that we have for you today.
Yes, look at us.
We have the one and only, okay, on the far, let's see, your right, our left, is the one and only Mike Gallagher, Mikey G. And in the middle, the rose between the thorns. And thank you for wearing your flats today.
Yes, sure.
But this is Caroline Golmic, one of our favorite practitioners here.
Rising superstar.
Rising superstar.
Yes.
And Mike, of course, is Caroline's rep from Nutritional Frontier. So we got a great connection going on here.
Yes.
So Caroline just got done with her workshop, and that was, of course, don't miss it. Get on, make sure you see it. You can see it on either the World of Wellness Facebook or YouTube channel, and you can see it on Nutritional Frontiers Facebook or YouTube channel. So today, Caroline's had some great testimonials and patient outcomes, and that's what we love to talk about, things like that. So we're going to kick this off strong. We've got a testimonial, and we've got some pictures to actually even show you what has been happening with one of Caroline's patients. So why don't you give us the intro?
Will do. Thanks, Joe. So my workshop, if you didn't catch it, I'm going to give you like a 20-second snapshot, is I talked about German New Medicine and this understanding that when our system undergoes an unexpected, emotionally distressing, isolating event, at the moment of that impact to our psyche, our brain will actually create an adaptation, a lesion swelling on a very specific area of our brain that corresponds to a different organ system. And we can understand this in some capacities, that if you were being chased by a lion in the woods, your body would make some very smart adaptations, right?
And run really fast.
Yeah. Because your body would send resources to your arms and your legs. You'd be able to see clearer. You wouldn't be worried about breaking down your hoagie from lunch. I don't know if you're eating hoagies, Mike. Something tells me no. You wouldn't be worried about digesting your food, and you wouldn't be worried about getting rest. You would be worried about fleeing your predator. Right. So those are smart adaptations to stress that your body makes, and we understand that. And it's meant to last for a very short period of time until your body can be safe. So you're in fight or flight for a period, for a purpose, to get to be safe. Well, when we are in a continual state of fight or flight because of events in our lives that keep us in conflict for long periods of time, then our body is forced to make these adaptations over longer periods of time, which end up turning into symptoms of what we call disease. And what I broke down, so go back and watch the other one, but what I broke down was oftentimes the symptoms we experience are healing symptoms, similar to a fever. You have a fever, we don't say something's wrong with you, we say that your body's healing from something. That's a healing mechanism built in. You don't have to create a fever. Just like you don't have to heal a paper cut. Your body will heal that. You don't have to interfere. So I have a client that I've been working with for the last 7 months or so, and she came in because she was losing eyesight. And Phil, if you want to put up the first picture, she was losing eyesight in her right eye. There it is. So what she did was she took a picture out her window and then she photoshopped it, colored it in, so I could see how she was seeing out of that eye. She's 45 and had a major traumatic event to her about 20 years ago. And I'm not going to...
This is important, though.
Yes.
This what didn't just happen.
No.
Over 20 years' time.
Over 20 years. So what the eye sometimes will signify, what conflict it signifies, is something you're not able to see any longer. And she had the loss of a sibling, and she recognized that she was not able to see that sister anymore. She couldn't even look at pictures of her from that time because it was so distressing to her. And so what she did was she went and she found all of these pictures of her sister from that time. She laid them out on her dining room table, and she forced herself to see them every single day. And so that right then and there, when she came to see me, she'd already been doing a whole lot of natural health things. She had majorly changed her diet. She was turned on to some supplements, not the best form of supplements, but she was trying everything in the natural health realm. And she said, I just wanted to come in case there's something like that I don't know. And I was like, well, I've been learning this German New Medicine. Let me share it with you. And it was like when I said it to her, she got like a light bulb, like, oh, I know exactly what I can't see anymore. And so that's when she started looking at those photos of her sister. So over the course of the last 7 months, in addition to that work we've done with emotions, we added in SPM 2-3 times a day, which, this isn't terribly inexpensive, but she has said to me time and time again, if you said to me, give me $10,000 and I'll give you your eyesight back. She's like, I would do it time and time and time again. And doing this for 7 months, 2-3 times a day is nowhere near $10,000. And so she's really making out on that deal. So 2-3 times a day of SPM, and then she does 2-3 times a day of the 2020 blend, and one dropper full of 2020 tincture 3 times a day.
Okay.
So 3 a day, 6 a day, 6 a day. This has been going on for the last 7 months. So this was in like January, February, when she first sent the picture. The next picture was in like May. Phil, if you can go to the next one. That's the newest one. That's okay. There it is. So that was like May.
Okay.
And then the newest one was in August. So that's the last time I saw the client was August. So this is where her eyesight is in the course of 6 or 7 months. And I believe it was this blend of, because we're mind, body, spirit, and we've been putting this hyper focus on all 3 of them, and her system is responding. So it's an awesome testimonial. Yes.
That is a great testimonial. Now, the 2020 formula we've had for some time, and it was originally created as an eye formula. But what we have found over the years is that it's a phenomenal baseline antioxidant. And if you think about the eyes, right, and we've said this before, and the eyes are actually an internal organ exposed to the elements, right, if you think about it. So oxidative stress is always going to play a part. That's where this comes in. The SPM, and if we've been talking about it now almost daily, is the single most powerful systemic anti-inflammatory that we have available to us. We think it should be part of everybody's foundation, right?
Yeah, it's been very helpful for the clients that I've seen. And for her specifically, she was having so much edema in her eye. She had so much swelling that within, I think, the first week or 2 of getting that high dose of SPM into her system, and eventually we will dose that back. It's just she's been so excited about the progress. She doesn't want to make any changes. And so we're riding through this until we see it fully to completion. But it has really, her last time she went to the eye doctor, she had 0% swelling, 0% edema in her eye.
Now, Mike, you've recommended these 2 together for some time now, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it individually or for severe cases like this one, or people with cataracts, macular, really any major eye issue, we would recommend both. Because they are a little bit different configuration. But yeah, so I mean, their one ingredient in that 2020 is a patent trademarked ingredient called Lutamax, which won the Ingredient of the Year award back in 2018. So think about, there's thousands of ingredients, folks. Every year it comes out. And this was voted #1 because it's research on blue light originally. Right? So people were looking at computers, cell phones all day long. They get eye strain, affects their sleep and melatonin. And what they found is the 6-month study just on that one ingredient in there saw a tremendous difference. And it was the first study ever done on blue light in that. Now, since then, they've done additional research studies with that ingredient for the brain, memory, for the heart, cardiovascular, and for the skin, anti-aging. Again, so it's all connected there. So it's not just an eye formula. And again, there's fantastic immune modulators in there as well. So you can use that in a multitude of different issues. But I know through the years here at the clinic, we've had all different types of eye issues that use that or the tincture combination, and they go back and see the eye doctor, and they don't have the problem no more. So, again, we've had some incredible success, and that's what I passed on to Carolyn when I meet with her, and we go over some of these formulas and how it can help. And, Carolyn is a very intelligent woman that she actually listens, right? So then she passes that on, and she uses it, right?
Person.
Yes. So, again.
See, I didn't do it this time. No, gee. Okay. Anybody out here in the audience right now know anybody or themselves with eye issues? Anybody? Okay. Everybody has a little bit, right?
Taking it.
It's just, and sometimes it's just wear and tear.
Or just wearing glasses.
Just wearing it, right.
Right? Can you just be even wearing glasses? We've seen tremendous benefit.
And like Mike said, the blue light phenomena, this is something fairly new. I mean, over the last 10 years, 15 years, where everybody, is staring at one of these all day, or a tablet, or a flat screen on your desk. It doesn't have to be a phone. Any flat screen, any of them, TVs to phones, emit blue light. And it is damaging the eyes, and it's causing extreme, at the very least, fatigue, and at the most, permanent eye damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So many people working from home now as well. So we know that. So again, it's going to get worse and worse. Not going to get any better. We know that, but that's something that could really help on so many different levels. So that's fantastic to hear that news. And in the SPMs, let's just go into that a little bit, right? So a lot of people say, well, what does that mean? What does that do? It stands for Specialized Pro-Resolving Mediators. And a lot of people say, well, what's that? Well, it's something that's naturally occurring in our body to calm down the inflammation. And so it goes back to research with Dr. Sirhan at Harvard. Goes back 20 years ago. And what he found is that originally mice had this issue. And the sickest mice made very little of this. But the healthiest mice made the most. And so he hypothesized that humans are the same thing. So fast forward 10, 15 years later, he did discover that humans also have the same issues in the same component of this. And so then he figured out, how do you actually make this? So it's actually a breakdown of fish oil. It's actually a third step process to get it from omega-3s to SPMs. And so it actually works faster and quicker than omegas. Now, we've known omegas since the 60s. Helps with preventing cancer, preventing strokes, you name it. Works on 13 different pathways. But Dr. Sirhan took it one step further. Why does it work? And he figured out it's these resolvents. And right now there's over 1,600 published medical studies just on this, even though it's a relatively new formula. And Dr. Sirhan was actually nominated for the Nobel Prize. So when I'm talking to doctors, and even very skeptical doctors, medical doctors, DOs, and I mention about this, and there's 1,600 research, there's actually 150 studies, PubMed studies just on cancer that this can help with. And we've seen some incredible results since we've introduced it. So any type of inflammatory issue, and again, what does omegas help with? Pain, brain, heart, eyes, skin, right? Immune, on and on and on and on. 500 other things. So that's just a quick synopsis of these formulas. But when you combine them together, then we can really amplify things and take it to the next level. And that's what we try to do. That's what Carolyn is doing, right? So you put two really powerful eye formulas together with the SPM, and you see the results here, folks. So that's fantastic.
Mike, do you generally recommend SPM along with an omega?
It depends on the situation, and we don't want to overwhelm people in their budget. So if they can only do one thing, we'd start with the SPM. If they can do both, we would suggest omegas. But it's a personalized situation based on what they can handle and what they can afford.
In a perfect world, people would make their own pro-resolving mediators from their reserves of omega-3s. But, of course, we're not in a perfect world, especially when it comes to omega-3s. We're extremely deficient. And so, as Mike explained, let's just take that a step further. So when you have an inflammatory occurrence, your body should resolve it naturally, right, by addressing it with nutrients. But when that can't happen, or when the inflammation is too widespread, it doesn't resolve it. So it lasts for a long time, and it builds and it cascades. So these are resolving mediators. They go in and take the place of what your body should have naturally done. And they stop that inflammatory process, or slow it down, or completely halt it in some cases.
Yep, and that's great. Simple explanation of a very complex, complicated matter. But
that's what I do.
Yes, that's you do. You break it down, Joe. Obviously, that's why he's the godfather of nutrition. But again, I remember when this first came out. I had a case. One of my other accounts had a staff member that was in an auto accident 20 years ago, and she's been in pain ever since. And she tried every supplement, every therapy. Nothing's helping. And then this came out, suggested this, and she was taking 4 a day, and in 4 days, she's 50% pain relief. Within 30 days, she's 100% pain relief. 20 years, 30 days, right? So that staff, that office was blown away because they've tried everything, and this is the only thing that helped her. So, again, all we would say is, if you haven't tried it, give it a chance. Again, typically the tricky part is the dosage, 4 to 6 a day. Right, the more inflammation you have, the more pain you have. We would start with 6 initially, a loading dose. Again, if it's not as much, you can start with 4, right? But then there's other doctors like Dr. Bob Rakowski, who take
Yes.
it to the ultimate
next
level. Right.
His protocol is extremely. I mean, it's to arrest stress, right?
Yes.
It's what he calls it, and he uses 1 SPM and 1 calm day. The formulation we have here for natural anxiety relief, 1 of each, an hour for 12 hours. And that he does for anywhere from, 5 to 7 days, maybe longer, depending on the patient. But he uses them 1 an hour because he wants to calm the stress. And the stress has multiple facets, inflammatory, emotional. So that's an extreme protocol. But he gets great results on it, doesn't he?
Right. Now, that's on the stress side. If it's more on the pain side, he just does the SPM.
Yes.
2 every hour for 12 hours straight, and he gets extraordinary results. And I've had a couple of practitioners in the area who've tried that, and it's worked. Right now, again, does it work for everybody every time? No, nothing does.
No.
But the people who've tried it, we've had some incredible results. So if 6 a day isn't even working, folks, try that 1 day blitz and see if that doesn't help resolve that issue in that 1 day. Okay.
I have a dog. Period. No, I'm just kidding. I have a
dog.
Just wanted to talk.
Segue.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I have a dog who jumped off the porch and majorly sprained her little wrist or ankle. And I was just opening up 1 capsule of SPM 3 times a day, and I swear, it was such a quick turnaround. I tried hemp first, and I'm like, this isn't working. And I text Tracy Strapp. She's like, what about SPM? I'm like, oh yeah. So SPM to the rescue, even for our pets as well.
And we've had people do that as well. Put a hole in the soft gel. It's a soft gel, and take it if they weren't able to swallow pills.
Yep.
And you can do that because you're not going to smell or taste any fish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It is derived from omega-3s, but it's so far down the line that it's not an omega-3. It's much, much, much better. But yeah, you can do that. You can open them up, you can put a pinprick in them, and you can get the liquid out. Just get it in you. That's the most important thing, right? So how about for kids and infants too? Would you do that as well?
Sure. Yes. If I was going to I have a 3-year-old son. If I was going to give him SPM, I'd probably start with maybe 1 a day or 1 twice a day. And I'd probably open it up and sprinkle it on something he's already eating.
Yeah.
Haven't had to use it.
Not yet. Good.
No, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, yep.
Did you in the last hour, Caroline, did you tell everybody a little bit of history about you and your husband and Lyme?
Close.
Okay.
Crohn's disease, yes, I did. I
Crohn's,
mentioned a little
right?
bit. Yeah, so my husband was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when he was 9 years old, which is autoimmune digestive distress, major digestive distress. He missed months of school growing up as a high schooler, middle schooler. Was in and out of the hospital. At one point was on 49 pills a day. They just could not figure out how to get this in order. He eventually ended up on a biologics, which was called Remicade. It's a 2-hour infusion every 8 weeks for 15 years. He was on that. It was experimental when he started it. And if it isn't creepy enough that it's experimental, he would actually have to sit and say, my name is Scott Golmic, and I know that I'm receiving experimental drug Remicade today. You're like, ooh. Looking back now, it's kind of top level creepy.
Yeah, that was big time covering their butts, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So he lived and believed that he would just be sick forever. He would call it his my Crohn's disease. If somebody
he owned it.
Totally owned it. That happens. He was, he came of age with this sickness. And so I remember one time somebody asking him, tell me something interesting about yourself. And he said, I have Crohn's disease. And I thought it's interesting to me that that's the top level of what you think's interesting about you is this diagnosis you have. And started just getting a weird feeling in my gut. Like, if we're going to have kids someday, it probably can't be good that you're on this low level, it was billed to our insurance as a low dose chemotherapy. Probably can't be good that this is in your system every 8 weeks. No. And anytime we talked to his doctor, the top GI in the country, he would say, nope, no studies done to say that there would be issues with having children, which means no studies were done. And but I kept getting that stirring in my gut. And so we ended up getting connected with Dr. Tracy Straub, who guided us. She empowered us, and she said, you don't have to have this. You don't have to have that diagnosis. It was like the first time we kind of heard that, and we're like, what? This, even though the doctor said you can't cure this.
It's not a life sentence.
Yeah, yes, no. The doctor will have you believe it is. You can't cure it, and if you get off of this medication, it's worked for you. What are you going to do if you get off and your symptoms come back, and you build antibodies and you can't get back on? A lot of fear around that, and that I see in my office as well. People come in with a diagnosis and they've got fear all over them. And so that little bit of empowerment, that's why I always say the 3 steps to healing for clients in my office is pray and believe for healing. Believe that your system actually is capable of healing. 2 is commit to radical life change. And then 3 is separate from your diagnosis. And so I watched Scott walk through those steps. So we made some radical life change. We totally eliminated inflammatory foods for 3 months. No gluten, no dairy, no processed sugar. We cut alcohol, coffee, all the
When you say we, did you do it along with them?
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Solidarity.
what you're saying is foods matter?
Foods do matter, yes.
The rheumatologist never said that?
No, he actually said, you can't heal this with your food.
Oh,
they sent the
right.
dietitian in, they sent the nutritionist in from, our big conglomerate nearby, one by one. It was like going to battle. And thankfully, we had already made up our minds. And we believed, we prayed for his healing inside and out. We believed that he could heal, and then we committed to radical life change. And then the third piece was him needing to separate from that diagnosis, that I'm ready to step out of that skin I wore for so many years of being sick.
Right.
And it was incredible because he now says he spent the first half of his life being sick, and he spent the second half of his life figuring out how to be well. And it's so empowering to have watched, and that's what got me going in this. I went back to school after that because I couldn't believe what I had watched his system do. And now I truly believe that our ability to heal is infinite, and that when our system gets the support it needs, that's why I created Terraining Camp. It's an online course that you could take, and I step you through practical steps every single day that you can take to take a step toward healing. And it's the steps we took for Scott. So step 1 is drink more water, which seems very simple, except so many of us don't do it. We need it. And I go into a lot of the whys behind some of these things, because sometimes you can't just force yourself to make actions until you understand why you're doing them. So drink more water, eat real food, because food matters. Supplement your deficiencies, support your detox pathways, find your balance of rhythm, or find your rhythm of rest and sleep, and then find emotional balance. And that's what my last talk was about today, was our emotional balance.
Yeah, and then how soon did he start seeing results then?
We got off of because it was very much a mutual thing that we did together. February 14th, Valentine's Day, we went in and told him he skipped his next infusion, and he never had a symptom. He's been off now for 6 years, medication symptom-free, totally healed.
That's fantastic. And what was the protocol that you used to help with the gut situation at the time? Do you remember?
Yeah, we did 2 scoops of GI Complete, Betazyme, with every meal. Digestive enzyme that has hydrochloric acid and ox bile, some pepsin in there, so around each meal. Yep, the Betazyme. 2 scoops of GI Complete, Superbiotic before bed, and vitamin D and B complex, because he had been, his intestinal mucus lining had been depleted from these meds, most of all. And so he was missing out on some major components, and he has an MTHFR gene mutation to boot. So B complex was very helpful to him. Getting that folate into his system was helpful. And we saw a shift very quickly, and he actually shed 50 pounds in 3 months. His body just released that inflammation that he had been holding on to, that now when we look back, we can see in those photos, he was so swollen. And then once his body hit the healing and was safe and was ready to be done with that diagnosis, his body just got rid of anything it didn't need. He's never looked back. He can have pizza, he can have a burger, he can have fries, he can have a beer. It's not like he has to live in this fear anymore. He's totally been healed.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's great. That's what it's all about. Yeah. And it was liberating for you then, and then you took it to another level, and you just felt that your calling, right? And to help other people who had the same situation. But I see that all the time, whether it's any specific diagnosis, diabetes, any autoimmune, the doctors say, there's no hope, there's no help, you got to be on this drug forever, and that's not usually the case. So, the first step is overcoming that mental block, because they've been beat down so bad by the medical doctor. So what did the doctor say when he went back? Did he go back to the doctor? Or what was their thoughts?
Well, interesting follow-up.
Yeah,
so they said,
it's a miracle. Yeah. The medication must be working.
That would be assuming they ever saw him again. So they scheduled him a colonoscopy for 6 months later to verify there was no inflammation. They sent us a letter rescheduling that for 6 months later. So a year goes by. That doctor left the practice, and he's literally never been back to a doctor since the day we got off meds in 2014. Wow, that's awesome. We've never been to a doctor since. We don't even have a PCP. Seems crazy. There it is. We got rid of our health insurance. We have something called Christian Healthcare Ministries, which if anyone has questions about it, feel free online or whatever to shoot me a question. I can fill you in about it. But we have totally freed ourselves from this mechanism of a system. If my leg was falling off and I got hit by a car, yes, certainly I want someone to save my life, life-saving medicine. It is not designed for chronic issues. And you, if you're listening and you've had ongoing issues, even if the doctor says after 15 years there's nothing you can do, it's crap. I call BS on that. Your system is capable of healing. You just need the right support to do it.
Well, when you've been there with Robert Scott Bell when we've had him, and his famous quote is the most dangerous thing in America is a really good health plan, because it's dangerous. Because why are you going to rely on it? You're going to rely. Just got to go to the doctor, right? Just go get my pills. Got to take my meds. I mean, how many times do you hear people own that? Like you said, with my Crohn's, I hear it all the time.
Yeah, and then we can, not make any claims, but we can have these kind of results, right? So that's incredible. So I used to kind of goes to that. I used to ask people coming to clinic here, I used to say, how are you? Are you good? They're like, oh, yeah, I'm good. And I'm like, well, you on any medications? Oh, yeah, I'm on 5. Right? I'm like, so I changed the question to, are you drug-free good? Yep. So there's the different narrative, and all of a sudden they look at me like, "Oh no."
Well, worse than that, Mike. Right? You get now people have owned these things so much that you ask the question, "Are you on any meds?" Oh no, just blood pressure and cholesterol.
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
They're not drugs. That's just necessary.
We
have them.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's because this is the language they're being talked to, and it's very blasé. Like everyone's on it.
Right.
They have commercials where everyone's lining up with their prescription. And this is I'm not poo-pooing or judging what you've chosen to do. I just want to help shift. Like there could be different for you if you desire it. But when you turn on a commercial and there's little Jimmy and his mom and their dad and they're all lining up with their prescription, they're putting it in your head. This is the norm. Everybody's on it. Totally normal. To need to rely on a pill, which takes away, again, your creation. You were created. I believe that. Terrain, my slogan there, you'll see it everywhere, is you are well made. You were created by the creator of all things. And if that's true, then do you really think, what were we doing before 100 years ago, before Western medicine was a thing? How did we survive as a humanity? We didn't survive on a pill.
Yeah. How did we survive?
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Take back the reins of your health. You can. Reclaim it.
And how much of it did we cause?
Yeah.
Right? With, poor diet choices, poor lifestyle choices, things like that. We're adding to the problem instead of trying to resolve the problem.
Well, not these people here.
No, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys are here learning. That's a great first step.
And I think COVID created a major shift in people where they started, some maybe went further the other way, where they were even more afraid of what could come with their health. But I think a lot of people, it made them say, like, things aren't adding up, or they're changing the narrative, or things just stopped adding up, and they started questioning their doctor. And that's the best thing we can do. And that's where informed consent comes in, is whenever you can actually have an open dialogue with your doctor.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It changed a lot of things. One of the things it did was it brought other things to the surface, right? It amplified anything else that was wrong. No matter where it came from or what it actually is, forget about that. It's just that it opened our eyes. And now we have to do something with that information.
And who did it affect the most? Diabetics, heart patients, obese, rest 2/3 of the country, respiratory.
All the top
So if you
killers.
had those issues already, again,
Right.
it just amplified it, So some people have flipped the switch.
Yes,
right?
they have.
Some people
Let's
have
open it up.
become
Any
so.
questions? Anybody? Yes.
What is that for, and why in conjunction, and more on that?
Well, these are the liquid and this capsule are both called 2020. So they're eye formulations. And this one is more herbal. And this one is more vitamin based, antioxidant based. But yes. No. They're oral. Yes, you don't. No, not in your eye. Oral. Yes.
Yep, we drink it. So it's just a different mechanism, but they both help strengthen the eye and support the eye issues. So again, if you do both, you're going to typically get faster results. You can do one or the other. Some people for liquids, some people for caps. In this case, because of the seriousness of the eye, Carolyn recommended both, and you see the results. Okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
Well, the question, let me repeat the question, is you use the SPM on your dog. How much did you use, right? And is that all? How much? How did you do it? How big is the dog? Okay, right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like 50 pounds. and I was giving her one on her food in the morning and one on her food at night. I probably could have upped that dose, but yeah, I just popped it with like a little pin, and then I just squeezed it over her food in the morning and then one at night before bed. Yeah.
And how long before you saw results?
I mean, I feel like it was within the week, and they were recommending anti-inflammatories and putting antibiotic. They want to put her on an antibiotic. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I just wanted to verify it wasn't broken. That's why I took her to the vet. And so once I realized there was no break, I could come home and help her with the pain side of things. Yeah.
You know, that question we get a lot, is this safe for my dog? The answer is yes. Yes. Yeah. And you know, unless there's flavoring or something that might not be good for your dogs, yeah, well, you know, unflavored is always better. Unsweetened is always better. But most of these fall into that category. So good for your dog, yes. Good for your kids, yes. Right? Yes, it's safe for our kids. We would never do anything that wasn't safe for our kids, unlike the rest of the medical association.
The mafia, the medical mafia.
And that reminds me of another case here. Actually, one of the staff members here, her son, they had like Chinese food, and he was like 6, and he accidentally swallowed the chopstick. Yeah.
The whole chopstick?
Like half, whatever it was. But
God.
Yeah, it was a freak accident, right? And she reaches out to me and says, what do I take? You know, and I suggested the liquid SPM, pop it, right? And so she actually started doing it. You know, we think we did 6 a day in that situation, and she took pictures of it, and within a day or two, it completely cleared up. But it was all red, all swollen, and everything. You know, so there was some tissue.
That's
breakage.
interesting, Mike, because that's not a chronic. That's an acute respiratory. Acute inflammatory issue.
Right.
Wow.
So being the fact that it was a child and the fact it was a throat issue, suggested popping it like that, like an animal, using it that way, and it really resolved the issue that quickly. So, again, that was Heidi, right? She has the photos. Yeah. She sent them to me, all happy, you know, but we've seen those kind of cases as well.
Yeah.
Can I make a correlation here to German New Medicine? Because that's what I talked about in my last little talk. All right, so the emotional component, how our body adapts in a wise way. So that child swallowed the chopstick. What does the body do to help make room? It ulcerates the skin in that area to make room for the morsel to make it through. When it finally healed, there's going to be pain, swelling, inflammation, because there will be cell proliferation there. Okay, so we understand that. That makes sense why that would happen. It also happens in life whenever we have something that is hard to swallow, figuratively. Something that catches your system off guard. So unexpected, emotionally distressing, isolating, that is hard to swallow. Boom, you will have ulceration of cells. So you might have like a scratchy throat during this time, and you're like, oh, I feel a cold coming on. No, what it was, you can now start asking yourself, identify your symptom, grab it, look at it, and say, what's going on right now in my life? Okay, yeah, like this season of life, whatever just happened yesterday has been hard to swallow, and now you're having the ulceration. And when your system resolves it at the psyche level, your brain will resolve it here, and there will be pain, inflammation. You'll have a sore throat. There will be pain and inflammation. So yes, you can use some SPM to support yourself through that healing phase, but also you can recognize my sore throat is not an indicator that I am sick and something's wrong with me. It's an indicator that I'm healing. I'm making a resolution to something that my system had to adapt to, the stressor, the chopstick of life.
That's good.
That's great. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I mean, that really covers just about everything that we do. Everything your body, Tracy says this all the time, Dr. Tracy Straub, your body does nothing wrong.
Yes.
Nothing wrong. So if it's doing something, if you're feeling something, if it's pain, if it's irritation, if it's something, it's trying to correct something. It's not doing something wrong.
It's a signal.
It's a signal. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. SPM? Absolutely. In fact, it's the cornerstone. The question was, has SPM been used for people with the infection? And we'll take it a step further. It's been used for people with both the infection or having adverse reactions to the shot. So the protocol that was designed by Dr. Tracy Straub and Dr. Judy Mikovits, this is the cornerstone of it. Everybody needs to be on SPM. All right, and then we call it the alphabet soup. So the protocol was SPM, CBD, DMG, dimethylglycine, and NAC, N-acetylcysteine. So those 4 nutrients are the protocol for anybody suffering maybe long-term effects from the infection or suffering adverse reactions from the shots.
Yeah, and clinically what I've seen, especially for post-COVID brain fog and the lingering cough that they cannot shake, okay? And yes, I would agree with Joe and Dr. Tracy with all the alphabets, but with some of these cases, reality is the budget. They can only do one thing or two.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple other accounts that they just use the SPM 6 a day. And for cough, the post-lingering cough, within a week, it's helped almost every case that's tried it. And for the brain fog, same thing, within a week. It's helped. And there was one case, chiropractor, he tried it on a 79-year-old woman and who suffered for 6 months with this, and she noticed the difference in 2 days. So it's powerful on many levels of resolving whatever inflammation is. And then
Inflammation is at the
technique.
core
That's
of
right.
everything.
But then the mind-body connection, is Carolyn has mentioned, is fantastic. You know, so we would tell anybody, try one bottle, give it a chance, and then we'll know. So if you, not just yourself, but family members or friends that are suffering still, give this a chance.
Yes, sir.
Bleeding issues.
Well, if the bleeding is a result of an extreme inflammatory process, then it could help. I don't know if it would completely resolve it. We don't know of any actual cases offhand. But where is the bleeding in particular? No, it's not going to thin your blood. It's not going to do anything like that. No, neither does fish oil. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Fish oil does not thin your blood. It improves viscosity. Only a chemical can thin your blood. I'll leave it at that. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
There been any studies that show that any or a combination of those things help with macular regeneration?
Mike?
Well, we've had case studies here through the years that patients told us they had macular, and we recommended the 20/20 capsules, 6 a day. And again, we usually see them every 2 months, every 4 months, but have had at least 10 different people through the years, when they go back to their eye doctor and they test them, say, you don't have it anymore. So we're not making any claims, but they had a condition, they tried this, and now they don't have it anymore. So you can connect the dots there. Again, all we can do is try it, but you need to be consistently doing it every day to rebuild that eye tissue. The same thing would be with cataracts as well. We've had several cases where this has helped. So is there published studies to show that? No, but we have our own real world, real situations here every day, and then I'm on the field every day listening to Carolyn and other offices, what they're reporting back to me and their success stories and what they've seen. But yeah, all we would say is can take 6 a day for minimums 3 months, or until you go back and see your eye doctor, at least 3 months to give it a fair chance to see. And again, could be completely shocked.
Anything else? Any other questions before we wrap it up? Folks, those are great questions. Thank you very much.
But Joe, there's one more
Yeah.
quick story. I have thousands on the SPM.
Of course you do.
But on the SPM, okay, so one of my other accounts, chiropractor, she was really suffering with the sinus infection. And she was trying this stuff that normally works that we've had success, and it wasn't working. So she reached out to me and said, she told me that on her own, she decided to take one SPM, and she popped it with the needle, and she took a Q-tip, and she put it in each nostril, and she laid down for like 30 minutes, okay? So kind of let it sink in there a little bit, and when she arose, she didn't have the sinus infection anymore. So that's the first case that I've seen using it for sinus infection, right? So again,
I wonder if you could expand that to like ear infections with kids.
Yeah.
Right? Might be an option there too.
She does use it for children, especially sore throats and things like that.
Right.
She uses the liquid situation as young as 6,
Right.
Or 4. So 4 to 6,
Yeah.
8 years old, and getting great results. So there's a lot of different ways. I mean, this is just the beginning, folks, of SPM.
Yep.
And we're working on some new things here in the next few months. Some liquids.
And we did have a
options.
presentation on SPM by Todd Parker, the person who supplies it for us. So you can go back and watch that. That was yesterday, right, Phil? Was it yesterday? So yesterday's presentation on omega-3s and SPMs with Todd Parker. Go back and watch that, and all the science is there. So you'll get a great information from that. Yes?
Sjogren's.
Sjogren's. I don't know of any cases offhand. Do you?
I can't know.
No, we don't know of any offhand, but we'll try to find out for you. Okay?
Well, again, that's an autoimmune issue, so we would still focus on the gut. We focus on the food triggers. Usually there's a vitamin D deficiency. If there's, again, inflammatory issue, absolutely this can help. But I actually...
Won't ever hurt.
Yeah. But I actually did some research. I had another doctor at a hospital I work with, and he had a ALS, Lou Gehrig's patient. And he was asking me, what can we do for that? So I just went on PubMed and I just typed in pro-resolving mediators ALS. And there's one PubMed study on ALS. It's the only published medical study, even for Lou Gehrig syndrome, on that I found with a supplement, nutrition supplement. So that's how advanced it would be. But there's emerging research on it every day, all different types of issues, Alzheimer's, MS, all different types of issues. So it's really exciting. We're really at the cutting edge, folks. And again, I've been doing this for almost 30 years. And I used to say DMG was my favorite. And then CBD came out. And I used to say CBD was my favorite. But now it's SPM, folks. SPM has taken, because I've seen things, the unique experience of being in multiple different practices all the time, seeing all different types of modalities, and I'm hearing things about SPM I've never heard before, right? So again, usually we'll know one bottle if it helps. So really, really cool, really exciting where we're at now in the world of nutrition.
Another question? Yes. Okay, well, an SPM is a pro-resolving mediator derived from fish oil. So it's further down the inflammatory cascade than actual EPA, DHA fish oil is. But that's where it's from. Okay? That's it. That's it. Nothing else. Yes?
Does any of this have any oils in it, like if you're allergic to shellfish like crab?
No. No.
No, in fact, even if you're allergic to fish, you can still take
Yes.
SPM. Because it's not the protein
Yes.
antibody that you're allergic to. There's none of that in there.
Correct.
So even if it's derived from fish oil, the product, by the time they break it down, there's no issues with
No,
it.
none at all. None
So
at
it's
all.
really, really unique.
Anything else? Well, yeah.
That's another
Go
whole
see
thing.
Jeff Nisnik first, then come back. Yeah.
Yes.
But absolutely. So that's it. Hey, thank you very much, folks. Thanks to our round table, Mikey Gallagher, the GOAT, and of course, our favorite practitioner, keynote speaker today, Caroline Golmic. Thanks, Caroline,
Thank you.
for making the trek in.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jeff.
it. Thank you.